Yo, yo. Hello, and welcome to episode 300 of the Alpha Rhythm Podcast.
Give me a reason.
And this week we are going to do a live Q&A. I have a bunch of questions in from my patrons over at patreon.com/alpharhythm. I'll be taking live questions in the chat. Gonna try to answer a question or two, a song.
We've been floating, we've been good.
And we are starting off with new music from Lower, out now on Galacy, on his debut LP, his debut album, Can You Hear Me? Tune's called Four Leaf Clover. It's featuring SYNGA.
We've been floating, we've been good, but we need to do better to stay together. Give me a reason.
So yeah, be sure to send some questions to me live in the chat over on YouTube. Going to be doing things a little bit differently. I'm going to start the first half of the podcast, play some new music. In the back half, I'll be playing all kinds of different stuff. So we got new music on Galacy, Celsius, Z Recordings, Focus, Celsius, Spearhead to kick things off.
We've been floating, we've been
And yeah, of course, podcast 300 fell on the day we changed our clocks here in the United States. So hopefully people join in the chat. I know people get very confused by time changes, especially because we change our clocks at a different time than a lot of my listeners.
stay together. Give me a reason.
First question in from patreon.com/alpharhythm and from Mark. When you started podcasting, did you ever envision you would reach the 300th episode milestone? I don't know if I even thought that far ahead when I started. For those who don't know, I started the podcast when the YouTube channel hit 1,000 subscribers. We're over 11,000 subscribers now. And also, when I started the podcast, I wasn't even producing. A huge part of the reason I started to produce is because people listening to the podcast kept saying, when are you going to write your own music? And I said, never. I don't know how to write music. I just like DJing and I like letting people know. I love drum and bass, right? And I want to let people know about new and exciting drum and bass. And he kept asking and asking and asking. And, finally I decided, hey, I'll give it a shot. And here we are 300 episodes later. Is out now on Celsius. It's by Keist and Avalon Rays. It's called It Could Have Been Better. On a beautiful EP, the Space and Time EP. Again, that's out now on Celsius Recordings. Big ups to everyone tuned in live right now over on YouTube, and big ups to Michael Hatfield, my newest patron, over at patreon.com/alpharhythm. Another question in. This time from Tearing It Up. It says, what advice or suggestions would you have liked to receive when starting out? Thinking back on it, what do you wish you heard? I don't know. What would I like to receive when starting out? You know, I had a great mentor. I still have a great mentor, Villain. And sorry, I had to mix. And I butchered the mix because I was trying to answer this question too. Willem, yeah, I guess the best piece of advice I have for anyone, and I've said this time and time again, it's like ask for help, like all the time. And, you know, I do that. I have mentoring sessions with Willem. When I was first starting out, I was working with Johnny Might Kiss. I was working with Andre Human Nature. And I've had sessions with Bop. You know, I just ask a lot of people for help and for feedback. Especially living here in the United States, it's really important to stay plugged in, get involved with different communities, different Discord channels, because otherwise I'm living in this like really opaque bubble that I don't get the necessary perspective to make good drum and bass without other people around me to help me. We're stronger together. And yeah, I've met so many great people over the years of doing this podcast, including this guy, Creeper, who has come a long way. I remember when this guy sent me some music to play on the podcast, and I said to him, dude, why aren't you releasing this music, right? He was like, hey, I wrote this, like, it's not out, but will you play it? And I said, dude, send it to a record label, right? And yeah, he's released banger after banger since then. This is out March the 15th on C Recordings by Creeper. It's called All That You've Done. So yeah, advice or suggestions, I guess, just like ask for help, dude. And ask multiple people for help, like get multiple perspectives. Because like, it's all subjective, right? Because it's art. And like, I guess that's the other thing is like, just because one person tells you something doesn't mean they're right, because art is so subjective. So like, even if someone doesn't like your music, that's okay. Like, believe in yourself. I guess that's another thing, right? But also like, listen to other people, but also like be willing to completely disregard what other people say, I guess. I often tell people that I'm mentoring this, like if you keep sending your stuff to record labels and it keeps getting turned down, that's probably because it's not ready to be released, right? And when your music's ready to be released, like someone's gonna sign it, right? So yeah, believe in yourself, ask for help, and put yourself out there. Send your music to labels, you know. Send your music to Hospital, Spearhead, the big labels, Liquicity. You never know who might pick it up. Focus, Celsius, just to name a few. They're always looking for that next, you know, banger or that next liquid roller or the, you know, the next artist to bring through, right? Incoming new music from Archangel. Forthcoming on Focus Recordings, out March the 22nd. This next tune is called Wax Lyrical. this kind of ties into the next question in another one from one of my patrons, in from James Shoemaker. He says, what would be your dream collab? And like, that is a really tough question. I'm just going to name a bunch of people. This being one of them, Archangel. It'd be really cool to do a collab with Archangel. I really want to do something with Nelver. I don't think he speaks very good English, but I did one with Makers, who also is in Russia and I think uses like Google Translate and stuff, which is super cool. Because like music is that universal language, right? Love. And so Nelver's definitely one of them. Archangel, just been in love with everything he's been doing. Another person that has really captured my attention lately is Enigma. Marble Elephant, the duo. Would love to collab with them. I really love working with Pixis. That, talk about dream collabs, like working with her is just a dream. We work so well together. You'll be hearing more music from us in a lifetime. That tune we just released, I'm just over the moon about. Oh God, who else? Dustkey. I really want to do something with Dustkey. So many. I mean, obviously I want to work more with like Subliminal and Rezilient and stuff, but like people I haven't collabed with, Archangel, Enigma, Marble Elephant, Nelver, I would say would be kind of the four that are at the forefront of my mind. Let's take one from the chat. As always, if you want to catch us live, that's 3 p.m. Eastern time, whatever the heck that means, because we change our clocks twice a year. So, as always, I just tell people, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, or just like check, because I schedule the podcast days in advance. I always post it on Friday, so you can like see what time I'm going to do it at. But anyway, this one's from the chat, youtube.com/algorithm. From Nick Lyle, he says, do concepts from composing classical music translate over to creating electronic music? Now, I am not a classical composer whatsoever. However, my music, as some of you might know, has been inspired from and by classical artists and classical pieces. Namely, My Planets was inspired by Holt's The Planets. Like I love working with Natus, right? Who is a classically trained professional violinist. And I think there's like a pretty significant crossover in those like Venn diagrams. And some of my songs like Tranquility and obviously the stuff with Natus like Citadels and Mars have these big string sections and timpani drums and I'd like to think that liquid drum and bass in a way is able to evoke some of the same feelings and almost like the same vibes as classical music. Obviously, that's like both of those are huge umbrellas. Like there's so much variety within classical music, so much variety within liquid drum and bass, but the kind of sweeping vistas and peaks and valleys and emotionally charged music that you get in both classical and liquid. Like, again, I said there's definitely some crossover there. And like, I'm a huge fan of like Kino, obviously, and like Etherwood to a lesser extent, who use these kind of like soundscapes. And obviously Kino is another classically trained musician. Another one that I'm a big fan of, and that's not a drum and bass producer, is Phaelh, Phaelh. Makes mostly dubstep, and he's a classically trained musician. And his, again, the inspiration he draws is clearly from the classical realm, and it works so well within dubstep. This one's by Monika. It's called Unique Outcomes, forthcoming March the 29th on Spearhead. Here's a quick question, because I don't know the answer. CosmoCat over on the Patreon says, how many copies of the Planets album were made on vinyl? Keep up the good work. You know, I'm not too sure. The smallest run that Fokuz will do is 500 copies. But because it was a two-piece vinyl, I don't know if that means there were 250 made. I'm guessing there were 500 made. That's typically the smallest run. That way you can at least make a little bit of money off of it. Obviously, the more copies you have pressed, the cheaper it is. But with like a smaller artist like myself, you're probably not going to sell more than like 500, maybe 1,000 if you're lucky. So I'm guessing they probably pressed 1,000 records, which is 500 copies, because it's a two-piece. But again, it could have been that they pressed 500 and it's a two-piece, so there's 250, but I really don't think that's the case. But either way, it's been selling like hotcakes. It has sold out all over the place. I still think there are a few copies of it left floating around, but not too many. Music forthcoming on Fokuz. This one out this upcoming Friday, March the 15th by Conspiracy. It's called Soulbound on the Spark EP.
I'm gonna tell you this one time. Boy, I want you to be mine. Can I come see you now? Like the wheel of God.
just realized I had left my visualizer on. So apologies if you're watching live, or not apologies if you don't like looking at me, if you like looking at the visualizer. But anyway. Another question from the chat from Leonardo Coppola, one of our frequent flyers here on Alpha Air. Gotta big up everyone who tunes in every week. Big up Leonardo. She says, will you create a 10-minute track? And the answer is absolutely yes. I think I've said that before, which is probably why you're asking. I really want to write a song that's 10 minutes. And I've gotten close, right? I've gotten some like 7 and 8 minute songs done. But it's really hard. You gotta earn that, right? You gotta justify it. It'll probably be Natus and I. Like we'll pull that off someday. We both love long tracks. Oh, the Pac-Men are off. I'm a mess today. I forgot to turn my Pac-Men on. Incoming. Leonardo Coppola also says, who inspires you? This is your answer. And no one asked this, but if someone said, what's your favorite song of all time? This is your answer. This is Seba. Time will tell. Big up to Sebastian, aka Seba, the man, the myth, the legend, one of the greatest producers, not just in drum and bass, but in all of electronic music. Question in from Changing Views. He asks, what are your top 3 favorite drum and bass producers? Well, I'm going to answer that question by playing music from all three of them. But they are, in no particular order, Seba, Bop and Subwave. Yes, that counts as one. They're a duo. Fight me. And Etherwood. So yeah, the back half of the podcast, I'm going to play some of my stuff, some of my all-time favorite tunes, including this one by Etherwood, one of my all-time favorite artists, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet too. And he's working with Anile on this track, right? And Anile's another legend, criminally underrated, I have to say, Anile. This is Bear's Breeches. It's out on In Stillness on the now defunct Med School Music, which was, until it was closed down, my favorite record label. I've told this story before, but I always wanted to release on Med School. That was always my goal, was to release a track on Med School, and then they shut it down as soon as I started producing. That was always my goal. So that was, you have to kind of laugh at that, but anyway. Another question from the chat. From Toasted. Any chance for a tour? If you are coming to South Florida, huge drum and bass event in Miami in March. Also, Ultra is here. Dude, I always say this. If you know promoters in your area, have them reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, wherever, and we'll make it happen. But being a liquid drum and bass producer in the United States, people really like the heavy stuff, right? And I play heavy stuff when I play live, right? But I think people are a little hesitant to book me sometimes because, you know, I'm not this big sub-focus Andy C whatever guy. Like, I just like the vibes, man. And like, I bring the vibes when I play live, and I bring the rollers, and I bring the bangers and all that stuff. But anyways, seriously, if you want to see me live, go to the club, go up to the promoters and say, hey, Alpha Rhythm, he wants to come play live. Let's make it happen. Seriously. do think I have some shows coming up in Pittsburgh and Cleveland here pretty soon, though, so I'll have more information on that stuff. Another one from some of my favorite producers all working together. Another one on Med School. This one is by Bop and Synkro. Tune's called Blurred Memories, and this is the Etherwood remix. So we have Bop, Synkro, and Etherwood all together on one track. What a trio. Synkro, again, another guy, if you don't know, get to know. And that kind of ties into another question. Let me find it. I think it was Extinct Burrito. Yeah, what's a new genre, key/style you want to explore and perhaps make a track/album in it? And yeah, that's really simple. Ambient. There's no question I want to write ambient music. I just haven't gotten around to it. I've been like talking about it for a while, and actually I'm about to do like a whole podcast about it, right? Because Natus has been writing ambient, and he and I are going to sit down and talk this week about that, and that'll be released as a episode of the Algorithm and Friends podcast, so you'll be able to get that on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff wherever you get your podcasts. As always, the video version will go up for the Patreon as soon as I record it, which I think we're recording on Tuesday of this week. So yeah, ambient. And as far as keys go, yeah, like I always write in minor keys, right? And I don't think that's really ever going to change. Major keys are just like way too happy for like drum and bass. And I don't know if you like write ambient in major keys. I don't know anything about writing ambient music, honestly, because I've never tried it, but definitely something that I'm going to start to do before too long. Everyone's talking about Algorithm Live. Yeah, Cleveland and Pittsburgh. I mean, that's usually where I play at. Oh, that show in Philly last year was awesome, though, by the way. Everyone that came out to that was incredible. But I don't know. I might be coming to Europe this year, hopefully. This one. Another one of my all-time favorite tracks. By two of my favorite producers on one of my favorite labels. This is Bop and Subwave, Clair de Lune, out on Microfunk Music. Let's go. There are some French people in the chat, right? Do I say that right, Clair de Lune? Because speaking of classical music, this is obviously the name of a famous French classical piece and a French poem. But, like, I don't speak any French whatsoever, so. Another question. Let me find another question. I'm getting tuned to the music. Right, changing views. Says, you just reached a huge milestone by releasing your first album. What's next for Algorithm? Well, why don't I play for you what's next for Algorithm? Forthcoming on Focus Recordings, out April the 19th. This is myself and Rezilient, One Day at a Time, featuring Leo Wood, the Bop remix. So yeah, I've been playing this one for a while if you've seen me live, and probably like the worst kept secret, because Bop mentioned this on the podcast I did with him as well. But yeah, it's out next month, One Day at a Time, the Bop remix. And like, I have to say this, right, because this is the truth. I couldn't have done this without you. And this is always my promise and will always be my promise. Every dollar I get on Patreon goes right back into my music, right? So like, you literally helped me pay for this remix, right? And there's another remix coming out with this, which people have been asking me, what's this song? What's this song? And I can't tell you yet, but I'll tell you very soon in the next couple weeks on the podcast, right? But yeah, just over the moon doesn't even begin to describe my excitement for this remix. Made possible by you, my listeners, and especially to my patrons over on patreon.com/alpharhythm. And if you're a patron, be sure to head over to the Patreon right now. Stop whatever you're doing. You can pause the podcast. Leo Wood has done a live version of Venus in Morocco. She filmed it with drones in Morocco. A live vocal version using trigger sampling. It's incredible. And it's up exclusively at patreon.com/alpharhythm. It'll be uploaded to Ledge later next week, but it went up early for patrons. Again, that was made possible by you guys. That wasn't cheap to do. And yeah, shouts to Leo. Traveled all the way to Morocco, scouted out this incredible location, and it was supported by BBC Music Introducing, and another thing, like I said, just made possible by all my patrons, so big ups. Another one by Seba, another one of my favorites. This one's out on Spearhead. It's called Breathe Deep. It's featuring Emily Harkness. So yeah, as always, if you are a patron, you can see your name up here to my right, to the left because it's the left side of your screen. Right beside the Spread Love flag. Eternally grateful to each and every one of you, whether you give me $1, $5, $10, $20, whatever you're able to give me. As I always say, that all goes right back into the music. So you're helping me spread love the drum and bass way, which I feel like is my calling. It's easy to get like discouraged or burn out or whatever, but then like I do this podcast and like I get these messages. I get some nasty messages too, but I get a lot more nice messages than nasty messages, right? But like, just remember, like when you leave a comment on someone's video or like on my songs on like UKF or Ledge or the Quid Drum and Bass for the Win or whatever, like I'm a person too. And like, so is like the people, so are the people I collab with. And like, it's really easy to get, like you could have like 100 positive messages and you get like one really negative message, and you, at least for me, I could focus on that one negative message. So like, just like, if you don't have anything nice to say, just maybe don't say it. Like, just don't leave a comment. Because like, I get it, my music's not for everyone. And that's like, good. Anyways. All right, time for another question. Another one from James Shoemaker over on the Patreon. He says, Alpharhythm, what is your favorite song that you've ever produced? And that is a really tough one to answer. So I'm going to play a couple of my tracks. Once again, instead of telling you the answer, I'll show you the answer by playing the music. this has a very special place in my heart because it's one of the first songs I ever wrote, and it's the first song that I ever released out on Influenza Media. It's called From the Ashes. Another question in from the chat, youtube.com/alpharhythm. Gecko asks, do you use your tables for vinyl or mostly digital? Boy, I have not dropped a record on these turntables for a while. They need a little bit of TLC, a little bit of maintenance. Probably need a new stylus. I think at least on one of them. And they're not even plugged in. I haven't even plugged them in this new studio. But yeah, as you can see, I do have two Tech 12s. Cool thing about these turntables is they've been used by like some absolute legends, because we used to use them for shows down in Pittsburgh. Like DJ Shadows played on these, and like tons and tons of DJs. So anyways, like I keep them mostly for sentimental reasons, because like vinyl, man, I love it. I've got tons of vinyl over here, obviously, but like I can write a song today and then like play it immediately, right? It takes months and months and months, sometimes over a year after I finish writing a song for it to come out on vinyl. So yeah, long way of saying no, I don't ever really use these turntables anymore, unfortunately. But people keep asking me to do a vinyl mix or like a vinyl podcast, and I think one of these days I will do that. Watch the outro on this one. Speaking of classical, so again, the question was, what is your favorite song you've ever produced?
Of the earth is the shore of the cosmos.
And I can't just pick one.
On this shore, we've learned.
But this is definitely one of them.
Recently, we've waded a little way out.
The
ankle deep.
First track, track A,
some part of
my brand new album, The Planets.
This is where we came from. We long to return, and we can.
This one,
because the cosmos is also,
of course,
we're made
is Earth.
We are away from the cosmos to know itself.
Another one from the chat. Atmospheric says, that's you on the vocals, right, Alpha? And absolutely not me. That is Carl Sagan, the man, the myth, the legend, May he rest in peace. If you haven't seen Cosmos, the original Cosmos, not the Neil deGrasse Tyson one, the original Cosmos with Carl Sagan, do yourself a huge favor.
We will not
Watch
be afraid to speculate,
Cosmos.
but we will be careful to distinguish
Absolutely life-changing.
from fact. The cosmos is full beyond measure of elegant truths of the awesome machinery of nature.
Tracks from the planets, another one of my favorite solo tracks. I'm only playing solo tracks. I'm going to play one more after this because, again, I can't pick a favorite because it's like picking a favorite child. But I could pick 4 favorites. I have 4 favorite children. This one's Saturn, and this one was just supported by Dags on his Tequila Tour mix, promo mix. Actually, he played 2 of my tracks in that promo mix. It's on Dags' SoundCloud, so if you haven't checked that out already, I think this is the second track on it, and then he plays Correct the Vibe, the Winslow remix on there as well. So big up to Dags for the support. He also sent me some really kind words on Instagram about Earth. He was like, dude, Earth, like, just was like raving about that tune. So yeah, big up Dags anyway. Speaking of Dags, speaking of vocalists, one more question from the Patreon. Last question from the Patreon by Changing Views. He says, you've done a lot of collabs, or they say, I don't know if it's a man or woman, they say, you've done a lot of collabs with female vocalists, but none with men. Who is your dream male vocal collab? And that's a toughie. You know, if we're talking vocalists, like singing, it would be Robert Manos. Like, hands down, right? Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. Robert Manos is a legend. Got stuff like Move On. All this stuff with Seba, obviously. December, Microfunk Crew song, one of my all-time favorite tracks. So, yeah, that would be one of them. If we're talking MCs, DRS, obviously, it would be awesome to do tune with DRS. Dags, another one would be incredibly awesome to do a tune with. And I really want to do another song with MC Astro because, like, people really like Correct the Vibe. And obviously, the Winslow remix got picked up by UKF. And that would be really cool to do another track with MC Astro. And again, it's hard to pick a favorite, but if you held a gun to my head and you said, you have to pick a favorite, what is your favorite tune you've ever written? Again, gun to my head, I'm going to say this track. This is my first track ever to be released on Focus Recordings. It was always a huge dream of mine to release on Focus. And I often talk about this track like it just happened. I just sat down at the computer and the track just happened, and then I remember hitting play and listening back to it and just being like, whoa, what just happened? Because like it like happened to me, like it happened like through me. I feel like I didn't even write this song. Yeah, it's gonna be the last one. I got one more question. I'm gonna let this drop. Last question for podcast 300. Did I say the name of the song? It's Tranquility. Enigma said in the chat, how do you start to write a song? How do you start to produce a track? And it's tricky. It depends on the track. I often pick a key. I often start with a sample. It might be a vocal sample. It might even be like that Carl Sagan spoken word sample, like I wanted to use that. With this one, obviously a lot of you know this samples a particular song from a particular video game. So I started with that, and I just like found a way to loop it. And then I think I brought in some drums, wrote like a really simple bass line, like, which obviously this bass line is super simple, right? What, the root, the third, and the fifth, something like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of times I start with an intro, which is kind of backwards. Like more lately, I've been more starting with the drop and then working backwards from there. I know that's the way most people do it. I find it easier now to start with the drop and then write the intro. But I used to always start with an intro. But I was always pretty much start with a sample or a theme or a key. You know, I always know, like, I want to write a song in G minor, I want to write a song in C minor, I want to write a song in F minor, probably one of those, maybe D minor, you know. But anyways, that's going to do it. Thank you all for your questions. I'll I'll be back next week with a regular podcast. And here's to another 300 podcasts with all of you beautiful, wonderful people. Thank you all so much. And I'll see you all next week. One love.